me if anything happens over here, like the current and other issues, maybe there a small rain and such things are happening over here, and the climate is quite very hot over here in Kanyakumari. But at times we get a rain, and the rain may completely cut down our network. As you know, I'm talking from a rural area. In spite of that, I am very happy to the entire team led by all the leading doctors starting from India around the world. Rather, it has become a global organization. I'm very happy to know that the IFPH is a global organization and is working for homeopathy since the beginning of our the so-called pandemic, which has created a lot of problems in our life. But at the same time, we took this opportunity for bringing up the homeopathy to the highest extent through the online presentations. Shall I go to my presentation part?
Yes, please,
Let
please.
me share my screen, please.
Yes, yes.
Hope my screen is visible. Is my screen visible over there?
Yes, yes. You can move it, then it will become more visible. Now it is only your name is visible. I think that is the first slide.
Yeah, that's the first slide. It contains only
Yeah,
my name.
yeah.
Okay, my
Okay, okay.
humble and great dedications to our master, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. As we all know that within 5 days, we are going to remember Dr. Samuel Hahnemann uh, through his birth anniversary celebration. And I'm very happy that AFPH is also going for a great continuous sessions on different experiences on homeopathy by erudite faculty members from different parts of the world. I hope that that will also be giving everyone a lot of experience sharing in homeopathy, and our master is again and again remembered, and his messages are conveyed to all over the world. A word of gratitude right from the beginning of my career. As Dr. Shaji has told, my education started in Adurashram NSS Home Medical College at Kottayam, popularly known as Kurichi Homeopathic Medical College. My seniors, I'm the third batch in the Adurashram NSS Home Medical College. My seniors are very much inspiring, or they have inspired me a lot. I tell this message to everyone, even to my students, that whatever I got in the beginning of homeopathy are all from the seniors which I got, a group of seniors right from the entire Kerala, starting from Kasaragod to Trivandrum, and all my batchmates who are all always with me in all the support which I have, which I need in homeopathy. And also, not the least, about my college. After coming here since 2000, my career has been developed due to the chairman of the institute, Dr. C.K. Mohan sir. I take this opportunity to humbly remember and convey my gratitude to our college advisor, Dr. Ravi M. Nair sir, and also our principal, Dr. N.V. Sugudan sir, and each and every members of the faculty of institute, and all the members, those who have joined for this program. I know that in the beginning and all, I used to join in this classes, but as Dr. Shaji has told, our college has went for a very important accreditation process, and finally, our college is hospital is NABH accredited, and Sharada Krishna Homeopathy Medical College is NAC accredited. We're very happy to convey this message to each and every one of you, those who have joined today. And Dr. Ajayan, who has taken this, given me this chance to present on this day, and also Dr. Venugopal sir, who has also taken steps in giving me idea in what to be presented over here. And of significance of today's topic, Dr. Shaji was telling about Calvin B. Nur. The Calvin B. Nur, all of you know, all of you are homeopaths, so all of you may be knowing who is Calvin B. Nur. I'll come to the details of that. What my presentation is not to give you so many informations, but a very small presentation just to give you an idea, because all of you are doctors. The points in which I am presenting over here will have to be followed by all of you in the coming days. That's what I want to, an experience which I got through my life as a pediatric doctor since 2010. I would like to share those points with all of you, which I think all of you would in further days continue the points which I am telling in your practice also, so that we can confirm the points which I am going to tell you in the coming minutes. The plan of presentation which I am planning to do is just to give you a one full presentation, but it's very small presentation on a condition known as worm infestation. You may think why a worm infestation is considered here. Let's go to the topic of what I am presenting. Hope the entire screen is visible for you. It's the role of a particular remedy in bringing down Enterobius vermicularis infestation among children, a clinical study which has been studied so many years back, but still a re-study has been done to confirm its importance and how a remedy like Calcarea Ars has come into our homeopathic prescription. While I have heard that so many homeopathic doctors prescribe different varieties of remedies, but rarely a remedy like Calcarea Ars. I'll come to that point. Shall I go? Please.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Thank you. So a small introduction, even though all of you know all these things, but to come to the point, my aim is not to give a lot of information, but to come to the point and share the experience. So starting from this pinworm infestation, as all of you know, pinworm, don't think that pinworm is a very small problem. As far as a pediatrician is concerned, a doctor who is practicing in homeopathy with maximum pediatric patients find this as a very difficult issue in treating, because since 2010 I am treating children compulsorily, but it was very difficult for a homeopath to bring down a pinworm infestation. I'll tell you the reason why it is like that. So it is a broadest geographic range of any helminth and is most prevalent helminth infection in India. As far as India is concerned, it is the most prevalent one, and it is very commonly found in school-age children, though it is seen in adults as well. As all of you know that even the adults also may present with pinworm infestation, which will have to differentiate with other conditions of the anal region, especially the hemorrhoids. So let's come to that family. Family comes is that pinworm. Pinworm is also known as Enterobius vermicularis. All these are academic points, but still we'll come to our issue. All of you know the size. The worms are small, white, thread-like, with larger female ranging from the size. Look at the size. It is 8 to 13 millimeter into 0.3 to 0.5 millimeter, and smaller males ranging between 2 to 5 millimeters into 0.1 to 0.2 millimeter. That is the size. So small it is. I'm telling about the size as a very important point, because among all the infestations, the most difficult one to be treated is pinworm infestation. You might have experienced that, because the roundworm infestation, the tapeworm infestation, and all the other infestations, by our medicine itself, we have a lot of medicines which can bring it down. But pinworm, it's very difficult because it is a very infection which comes from an auto infection, that is known as auto infection. From the same child's finger itself, through the nails itself, it will be going into the same patient. That's why it becomes very dangerous. So females also, females means a female pinworm possesses a very long, not very long, pinworm itself is very small. Comparing with the size of the pinworm, a long pin-shaped posterior end from which the parasite's name is derived. You might have seen a pinworm. You can see it with a very large microscope, large or even a very large magnifying lens. You can see that. I'll come to that point. End from which the parasite's name is derived. They dwell primarily in the cecum of the large intestine, from where the gravid female migrate at night to lay up to 15,000 eggs on the perineum, even more than that. But the life of the pinworm starts actually after it has been swallowed, the egg has been swallowed. It starts its division or changing in its morphology from the duodenum itself, and the entire life almost gets completed in the ileum. So all these small points you have to just remember that. And finally it settles down with the male and female in the cecum, and in the cecum itself or in the small intestine ileal part itself, it may mate. The male and female will mate, and the entire female, as soon as the mating is over, the male will die off. That's the life history of it. The male will die off, and the female will be complete from the head to its entire part will be filled up with eggs, with a very small structure but completely filled up with eggs. That's how, just imagine that almost 15,000 eggs in one pinworm is waiting in the cecum of a child once it has been ingested. But it takes about 1 to 2 weeks for its fully development once it is ingested through the mouth and reaching the ileum and the cecum level. Okay. Let's come to its epidemiology. In United States, so what you have to hear is, the point I am going to emphasize here is, even the developed countries are also suffering from pinworm infestation. It is estimated to be between 20 to 40 million, and CDC surveillance study conducted in 35 states found that 11.4% of 9,597 tests of pinworm infestations were positive. So much of count is there, and treating part is also very difficult. That part I'll come to it. While it is mainly seen in children, pinworm cases have been documented in adults also, because automatically, as it spreads very fast, even a child is sitting on a seat or on a chair, it will be spreading to others. So it is transmitted even to the adults by contamination, especially in household where infected children transmit the infection to rest of the family. But children suffer a lot. That's the main problem here. Prevalence in children in certain communities have been found to be as high as 61% in India, 50% in England. Don't think that developed countries are all away from all these things. Developed country, developing country, and also underdeveloped countries. So things are very bad. 39% in Thailand, 37% in Sweden, and 29% in Denmark. This is what the status is telling. So as far as our part is concerned, India, even though I am expecting that some other people are also there from all over the global area, I don't know about that. Still, as far as India is concerned, as a developing country is concerned, our hygiene is concerned, you have to identify that so much of cases are there in India, which is very difficult to be treated. And the word I am telling, very difficult to be treated, is told even by an allopathic pediatrician. That's what I'm telling. Because they give medicine which is conventionally given. I'll come to that point. The most common clinical sign of pinworm infestation is perianal or perineal itching. Keep that point as very important. Perineal or perianal itching, and itching is usually most severe at night, as all of you know that. This is caused by the migration of the female pinworms, which was in the cecum, to the anus to lay eggs. Specifically, insertion of the tail pin into the mucosa of the for OV deposition. So all of you just imagine a pin which we are clipping on the paper and all. It has got a very sharp end. That's why the name is like that. That sharp end, it comes to the perianal region and it makes a small burrow over there and deposits the ovum over there. So that particular irritation done by the tail of the pin worm is creating the person to scratch with the finger in the anal region. And the scratching leads to finger contamination and subsequently the spread of the ovum to others. So that is how the same person, if the person is scratching, it may be auto-infested and the cycle will continue. Or it may be spreading through the cloth, through the area in which the person is, because so many methodologies, the person will scratch the area and it will be spreading to other persons also. That is why others are infected. The scratching may also excoriate the skin and lead to secondary bacterial infection. So that is another problem. If it is too much, the problem is too much over there. Secondary symptoms which are due to disturbed sleep, because always it is a night problem. Disturbed sleep will be there, which will indirectly cause, in other than pruritus, anorexia and irritability due to the loss of sleep. So these are the bigger one that you see over here is a female one, and you can see this end of it. Oh, this is a pinpoint of that, and this area it utilizes the perineal region for making a small burrow over there, a pit over there, and in that pit only 15,000 and even more number of this entire body. Once it is mated, this is the male one, this is a female one. Once it is mated, this will die off. Even the cecum itself die off and go out through the stool. But this particular worm, once it is mated, the entire body will be filled up with ovum or the egg, which will be deposited in the perineal. Imagine the situation when the 15,000 plus eggs are deposited in the perineal region. Don't you think it is a very, very difficult situation for a child right from the beginning once its auto-infection starts? And this is a picture where you can see the in which how it can be investigated. This is a Scotch tape. The Scotch tape is stuck to the perianal region because it is this particular investigation is done because in majority of your investigations on stool examination, pinworm infestation is rarely identified. But the child or the mother will say that anal itching is continuously there and it is very difficult for the child to sleep, or the child is very much irritated. So this Scotch tape bite is stuck in that area and the pinworms are identified, not by normal stool examination. It is rarely it can be identified by stool examination. So this is a very important part you have to remember. But pinworm infestation can be very clearly identified by a homeopath by symptoms only. We need not go for the for academic purpose only. I'm just telling you this is the investigation technique in identifying the pinworms and the ovum over there. In all cases of pinworm infestation, treatment of the entire household is strongly suggested, whether or not symptoms are present. If a child is presenting with a problem, if the adults or the other people are not treated, automatically it will be infested to the infected to other persons. You know that it is, even though it is a very small organism, smaller the organism, one pediatrician once told, smaller the organism, the more dangerous it is for the human being. As all of you know that the coronavirus is so small and it's creating so many problems, isn't it? Bacteria is also a very small organ, and our viruses are still smaller than that, and viruses are very, very difficult to be treated. Even the allopathic doctors find very difficult in treating viral infections. Just like that, this helminthic infections, as all of you know, you have heard about albendazole, a very broad spectrum and anti-helminth is given to all children right from the school days. We'll come to that point also. So this is due to the fact that pinworms are easily transmitted among members of the household. Also, strict hand washing must be completed after using the toilet or changing the diaper of the child, an infected baby, as well as before and after eating for 2 weeks. That means after once you start your treatment, at least continuously for 2 weeks, you have to tell the patient to be very much hygienic. 3 to 7 days or for 3 weeks, removing the underwear properly, and that should be cleaned very judiciously. You have to give a lot of advice to the parent, especially to the mother, how to clean the cloths, especially the undergarments and the pyjamas, how they have to clean it. And the cleaning should be continuously done for how many days or how many weeks, depends on the um, mode of infestation, or how much heavy the infestation has happened. Now coming to the homeopathic OPD scenario. So whatever I have told so far is the depth of how much these problems are being created in pediatric cases. Majority of children, especially school going children coming to OPD, have already received, this is the main point, already received either some new generation conventional therapy from allopathic medicine. I told about this because in the beginning and all, when we were very small, antipar like medicines were given, and later on all these antipar like medicines are all very specific for certain ailments, but now they have gone to a broad spectrum anti-helminthic drugs, and the children are given from the beginning itself, whether they are infected or not, whether they are known to be infested or not, irrespective of all these situations, they are being given anti-helminthic drugs. All homeopaths are aware of that. So they have been exposed to some medication given by as per instructions by the government authorities through schools or Anganwadis. In our area, in Kanyakumari district, almost all the schools, especially government schools, irrespective of government schools and private schools also, anti-helminthic tablets are given. Like what, maybe albendazole, I don't know what they are being given, but it is a broad spectrum anti-helminthic drugs. But the problem is they will be completely cleared with all the other infestations, but they will come back with pinworm infestation. This is not told only by me. When the pediatricians continuously say that whatever medicine we give for pinworm infestation, all the other worms, they go off or they die, but pinworm, it will come back again, and it will keep irritating the child a lot. So this is the importance of the homeopathy here. Even though these children get relieved from symptoms of infestation, a big mass seek homeopathy for the complaints of pinworm with itching in anal region. So that's the point. With itching in anal region, they may not be knowing whether it is pinworm infestation or not. They may not have seen a pinworm in the stool or in the perianal region, but the symptom presented by the mother or the child to the mother is itching in the anal region. This is a highlighting key point which I want to tell you. Okay, let's go to the main part of the presentation. In pediatric OPD, in our college, in our pediatric OPD, we collected cases from the period between 2018 May and up to last March also. All these cases which have been prescribed with Calcarea ars on the symptom anal itching. See the point? Presenting with the symptom of anal itching. And they were prescribed with Calcarea arsenicosa. We call it simply as Calcarea ars. And they were verified during the follow-up period. Irrespective of whatever may be the infestation, if the child, this is the point I want to tell you, if a child is presenting with itching in anal region, whether it is due to any other problem, but anal itching is told, we will simply, at the beginning itself, we will prescribe Calcarea ars. Okay, and what happens? See the area or time in which we have studied. Even before 2018 May, the study has been done, and now also, and still we are continuing that. The remedy was selected on the basis of the information in the Calvin B. Nurse repertory of herring guiding symptoms of Materia Medica. All of you are aware of Calvin B. Nurse and his 2006 edition in page number 920, rubric worms, worm affections with itching at anus, evening till midnight. Calcary arts is the only one remedy. Don't think that this is a very deep study done by me and automatically identified Calcary arts. Nothing like that. From somewhere, I think I remember that in 2015 or 16, in that period, I discussed with this matter of pinworm infestation with our chairman, Dr. C.K. Mohan sir. Sir told that sir has some sort of improvement with Calcary arts, but he didn't tell me that what from where this information has received, but he told that Calcary arts has been given from some area and it has got some effectiveness. So I started giving Calcary arts without knowing the Calvin B. Nurse repertory point. Thereafter, whenever we gave Calcary arts to such a condition where itching in anus is there, within 1 week, see the wonder of homeopathy and the wonder of Calvin B. Nurse research that has been done by him in identifying a medicine like this, Calcary arts. Because once we go to repertories, we can find so many remedies. All of you know that. Cinna, teucrium, isn't it? Sulfur, it has been written. I'll come to that point also. Oxalic acid has been written. See, so many remedies are there which we have given. All these remedies for the first 5 to 6 years were failure. Because again the child will come with the same problem. Whether we give Cinna or teucrium or any such remedies, you may have a lot of remedies in your mind which you might have also given. But let me tell you from my experience, this remedy Calcary arts, child will never come back with a complaint again unless it is auto-infested. Cases were verified for symptom changes. Results were analyzed as per documentation in the follow. Observation and result. All the cases present with symptoms of anal itching, probably due to Enterobius vermicularis infestation. That point I have specifically added here. Probably due to Enterobius vermicularis infestation, showed relief in almost all cases, more than 90%. I will put it as 95%, which were given Calcary arsinocosa, Calcary arts, completely. Second visit itself, they will say lot of relief is there. If my medical officers, those who have joined with in this case, my PG doctor, those who have joined in this, if at all they have joined, they will clearly understand. Because my PG students, once they identify that there is a problem, they will surely prescribe Calcary arts. Because so much of confirmation is there in this study. And this study also remains as a clinical verification of the rubric in Calvin B. Nurse repertory. In my PG course also, this Calvin B. Nurse has been studied by me because I did my PG in repertory and my specialization was on Calvin B. Nurse and Bonney-Usain. So I studied about Calvin B. Nurse, and this Calvin Nurse is a, what do you call, a magic. A book is so much big, which is a combination of the entire work of herring. The herring guiding symptoms has been completely, what do you call, to brought into a small book which is of this size, more bigger than our Boric, which contains everything in the herring guiding symptoms. Herring guiding symptom is a Materia Medica which has been converted into a repertory by his son-in-law Calvin B. Nurse. So this is the person, and I have brought the previous slide about the page number also. In this book, page number 920, you can see this particular rubric which has been automatically identified, later on identified. I will not never tell you that one I started giving Calcary arts and I found that it is improving. Then I searched all the repertories. Unfortunately, in none of the repertories, especially the repertory that you are frequently searching, like Bonning Hussain, Bogger, or Kent's repertory, you will not find calcareous. Once I told one of my uh, Materia Medica doctor to do a work on calcareous on this particular complaint. That doctor completely searched all the repertories and could not find this rubric. How can we do it on that? So we search completely, and treasure is there in our Calvin B. Nurr about calcareous. We'll come to that point. This is the 2006 edition. 2006 edition, because I've told about 2006 edition because 2006 edition is a edition which has been reworked by a great doctor known as Shivaraman, but it is presently not available in any of the bookstores. Fortunately, it is available in our Calvin B. Nurr old repertory is available, which all of you might have seen while you were studying your final BHMS. Thereafter, I don't know how many of you have utilized Calvin B. Nurr, the original version. Calvin B. Nurr original version is very difficult to work out. It is not a user-friendly book unless you are becoming user-friendly with the old version of Calvin B. Nurr. It is very difficult to identify the symptoms and remedies through it. But this book later on in 2006 has been brought out by B. Jain, and it is prepared according to the Kendian methodology and bringing out the highlighting points more clearly, and it has become more user friendly. That's what I want to tell you about Calvin B. Nurr. We'll come to the particular point in which we have come to the prescription of calcareous. So you have to go to page number already told the page number 920. So this is page number 920, where you will have to go to the rectum. Okay, rectum and stool are coming together in this particular repertory. Those who have seen this repertory, you will come across that. In that rectum, you will find the worms, worm affections, helping there. So many things will come as areas, all those things. Come to the lower part, you can see here with itching at anus evening till midnight calcareous. We'll come to the next. I'll show you the enlarged part of that. See the same rubric. I am showing it in the enlarged part. In the lower part, this area I am showing enlarged for everyone, those who are observing this. See this with itching at anus evening till midnight calcareous. See, this has been identified after 2 or 3 years only by me, while calcareous was giving a lot of relief for so many patients in 2015-16 period. Once Dr. Mohan sir has told me about why don't you try calcareous? It has helped. So the spark has been given by my sir, and after 2 or 3 years only, I searched through all the repertories for doing a work on this and see the treasure that is hidden in our books. See, this is the only point which is available in the book, and calcareous is not at all explained in any other part of this repertory. If you even open the boric, you cannot see the calcareous. Calcareous is available in boric, but the symptom connected with itching at anus is not at all seen. I have not seen. Please, all of you can go. This is a peculiarity of the Calvin B. Nurr repertory. Whatever symptom you see on these areas, you might not have seen. See, SUMB. SUMB is a remedy which I also have not given. It is Sumbul. Sumbul is a remedy which is taken from musk root. Musk root. Okay. And it can be given to a child with worm infestation where the drum-like abdomen. You will see a child who is having worm infestation with the abdomen very much blotted, and if you hit the abdomen, you will find it is having a drum-like appearance. And this particular remedy is having more marks comparing with calcareous. You can try this. So this is a peculiarity that you can find from the Nurr repertory, which we rarely use. See, you can find special rubrics over here. Worm infestation in angina pectoris, oxalic acid. Don't think that this particular symptom is there in our Materia Medica. If you go to herring-guiding symptoms, you will find out. Okay. Even a child who is having constipation with worm infestation, calcareous carbon, again, that symbol SUMBUL is also very important. Likewise, if you go through this particular area, you will find wonders in Calvin B. Ner repertory. The peculiarity of Calvin B. repertory is that it has got long sentences because it has been directly taken from the Materia Medica, and only one remedy will be there. Except in general rubrics like this. General rubrics like this, you will find so many remedies. But once you go to the lower remedies like this, to the what we call it as the sub rubrics and sub rubrics, you will find only one remedy. Even if that one remedy is having only a very small point, like 1 point, still that is a very important symptom, and you will become successful in treating. Dr. Ajayan sir is a specialist in Calvin B. Ner. We all know that. But I have done my work of allergic rhinitis also in this Calvin B. Ner, and I am very much attracted towards Calvin B. Ner. When I have done my dissertation, this book was not available, 2006. Okay. It came to our library later on only. And now the problem is, this is the only book that is available even if you go to a bookstore, because this is a old version of repertory of herring-guiding symptoms of Materia Medica of Calvin B. Ner, which has been released in the beginning, which contains even the same. I have searched the same rubric in this book also, but it's very difficult to find out unless you are thorough with, because it has got thin line, and such peculiarities there in its presentation, which is a typography presentation from the Ner repertory, from the herring-guiding symptoms. So this application of what I want to tell you over here is, utilize this Calvin B. Ner in your practice and you will see wonders, because the sentence that you see in a rubric will be almost the same which you get from the patient's mouth or the patient's bystander's mouth. Here the point is what? Here for this particular case, the point is itching at the anus evening till midnight. The same point the mother will tell or the child will tell. We never mind whether this is due to worm infestation or not. But as all of us know that in 99% of cases, itching in anal region, which is having this tie modality, will be usually due to what you call worm infestation. Because you have to, when it comes in adult and all, you have to compare it with other conditions in the anal region, especially the hemorrhoids. The comparative study in hemorrhoids and worm infestation, which I know, is that in hemorrhoids, the itching is not only at the evening and midnight or such time, it may also be there during daytime also. And that too in the beginning conditions of hemorrhoids. Okay, in children and all, such conditions are not at all common. So we have to be very confirmed by this particular rubric. So we never bother about whether it is, because this is that's why I have used this sentence here. Probably due to anaerobious vermiculous infestation, because our point is nothing but anal itching. So my point here is, all of you, please utilize this repertory and improve or come to the points, like small points you can find elsewhere in this repertory, and that point will be a point that is told by the patient as a sentence to you. A long sentence is a peculiarity of this particular repertory, and you will find in sub and sub rubrics only one remedy, like a remedy like Calcareous, which I have found only later on. By 2017-18 only, I came across, after giving to so many patients, because in Kulashegaram, almost all the children are given anti-helminthic drugs by the allopathic doctors or in the Anganwadi and all the other infestations are gone. When we check the stool, nothing will be there. It may be sometimes an ova or something may be there rarely, but even we do not get the pinworm infestation, pinworm ovum in any of these areas. For that, we have to do that stick test and all, which is rarely done in our hospital. But the symptom is sufficient for a homeopath in prescribing, and that is how I came to this conclusion of calcareas, which you people also, please, those who are having such varieties of cases, don't neglect, don't neglect worm infestation, because worm infestation, as far as a child is concerned, is a very annoying issue, and they will suffer a lot. They will not sleep, they will irritate the parents, they will irritate the mother a lot, and so many problems will happen thereafter, which is completely cleared with calcareas. Calcareas 30 is prescribed, because all homeopaths are very much interested in the prescription and also the potency. Please start a prescription of calcareas, which is available in our pharmacies. Calcareas 30, 30 is sufficient. If too much of infestation is there, we used to give 3 times daily. A small globule given 3 times daily for 3 or 4 days will completely. Don't think that the prescription giver just one dose is given and the entire thing is gone away. I have never tried that, because I am not such a big homeopath in prescribing such a single dose and waiting. Don't, please pardon me, those who prescribe one dose only and wait. I prescribe in this particular condition Calcareas 30 BD or TDS for 5 days or 1 week. And when the child comes back, the mother will be very happy, child will be very happy. They will be telling that symptoms have relieved a lot. And if they are coming the second or third week with problem, you will again continue the medication. But for your information, this is not the last resort. You have to take this child for a chronic case study, identify the constitution of the child, and then prescribe the best constitutional remedy that will clear everything. Because calcareas is like a what you call a trump card for you to bring the child to your clinic continuously, because they have been suffering. So many anti-helmintic drugs have been given to these children, nothing has helped. But our calcarea arts will help a lot, so they will stick on to our clinic, and thereafter don't keep on continuing calcarea arts. You have to shift the patient to a chronic case, study the case properly, prescribe medicines which are like sulfur or tuberculinum or whichever remedy is coming, calcarea car, whichever is coming, you prescribe that, and that will only help in any of the cases in homeopathy, not only in worm infestation. Dr. Shaji, please tell me if I am running too fast or about the time and all. Time limit is there, I think so.
You are okay. You can continue. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. So this is the real book. I've already told you. This book will be available in bookstores. Please ask. But 2006 edition, which I have shown earlier, with the picture of Calvin Beaner, is not at all available. A small legal issues there with the publishing of that book. So BGN has stopped publishing that book. I'm telling about this particular book. It is not available now. We have already given instructions to the BGN publishers for bringing out this book again and again, but a legal issue is still remaining. Therefore, they are not publishing it. That's what I got information from the Jain itself directly. So you can collect this book for your study. If you are not having, please do. Now we have come to the end of that particular first part of this presentation. Let me tell you some of the experiences, if you all of you want to, about certain conditions for the last 10 years in the pediatric clinic, which I am done. You can verify that also in your practice, please. For your information and for my happiness, I'm sharing this information to all of you, what has been done in certain disease conditions. Allergic rhinitis. All my medical officers, those who are in my OPD and my PG students will understand that which is the remedy I'm going to tell now. They can tell. If any PG is there, they can put a, excuse me, they can chat over here and tell, because the remedy which I'm going to tell you is nothing but arsenicum iodide, because I have allergic rhinitis was my topic in my dissertation, and that also supported by Calvin B. Nerr again. Allergic rhinitis of any sort coming with this particular symptom in the morning, getting up with sneezing. Even the child gets up with sneezing, and continuous sneezes, continuous sneezing for at least 1 or 2 hours, probably due to exposure to cold, probably due to the entire night sleeping under the fan with a loft with lot of dust in the surrounding areas. All these things, whatever may be, an exposure to dust from some other, say an agarbatti smell, or due to mosquito repellent, whatever may be allergic rhinitis, you can stick on with one remedy, arsenicum iodide, Cerovar 3, continuously prescribed without any issue, at least for 1 or 2 weeks, and bring the patient to us and prescribe next with a chronic medication will change a lot. It is only an acute prescription. Never think that allergic rhinitis like conditions can be cured with arsenicum iodide. Arsenicum iodide is just like giving an medicine like what do you call anti uh, allergic. Okay, anti allergic drug. Acute lower respiratory tract infection, which all of us face, and all of you will have a big varieties of drugs in your pocket, isn't it, for immediate prescription. But a child is coming with a respiratory tract infection with a problem which you can hear with a stethoscope, which you can hear with your stethoscope. What is that? A sound that we usually hear. All doctors can know that the sound due to the lower respiratory tract infection. Arsenicum album Cerobar 6. Please, Cerobar 6 is given 1 dose in 10 ml aqua and given according to the severity of infection. Don't think that this is the only medicine given. If that particular point, there may be different stages will be there, like pulsatilla stage will be there, Calicarp stage will be there. But a child who is coming with a problem, with a severe infection, and that infection has not gone to a second or tertiary stage, and coming to our OPD for the first time, it is acute prescription, arsenicum album, Cerobar 6. This is not only me. So many other doctors in Sarada Krishna are prescribing this medicine. I am sure that Dr. Vincent Varghese is another specialist in giving arsenicum album, Cerobar 6. I used to give Cerobar 3. But Cerobar 6 was found to be more effective. Vincent sir only told me Cerobar 6 is more effective, and I have tried that. And that has been very effective. But again, I tell you, these are all small tips which will keep the patient to you. These patients might have gone to allopathic doctors because those doctors will be giving lot of medicines, and finally they will come to our hospital. Okay, so in this acute lower respiratory tract infection, even though we have pulsatilla, antimtat, epicac, and so many other remedies, this is a very important remedy which has helped our OPD a lot. That's the only point I want to tell you. If you want, you can utilize it. Adenoids. Adenoids, of course, is a very difficult situation to be treated because you cannot see that properly. Only by the symptom presentation you can see that. It's a very common remedy which majority of homeopaths might have used. Agraphis. Agraphis is a wonderful remedy because in so many cases it has given a lot of results. But don't think Agraphis is the final word. This particular child with Agraphis, given Agraphis, will give an improvement for the first few days, and again the condition will come back. You have to treat them. So in our OPD, what we do is, when a patient come with a problem for the first time, we give remedy like this and tell them what is needed next. What we do is, we tell them to come on another convenient day, their convenient day and our convenient day, and we will take the entire case and identify the constitution of the child, and then we will prescribe entirely different remedy. At that time, we will not continue Agraphis or any such remedies. Okay. Otitis media, otitis externa, etc. Verbascum, as all of you know, Mullin oil. There is a study that is going on in our college by our PG. Otitis media, otitis conditions. This Verbascum is given internally and externally. One study, Verbascum is given externally only, and one study, Verbascum is given only internally. But the best result has come out with So far, just I'm telling this for the first time, the best result has come out with verbascum that has been given internally and externally, has given the best result. That does not mean others have not at all given result. The best result has been by the medicine given verbascum. Internally is given higher potency like 30 and 200, and externally means it is moline oil. Cervical lymphadenopathy, a very common condition that we see. It is not a direct problem, a problem that is located in some other part of the neck or the respiratory system or even the scalp area. Cervical lymphadenopathy is always identified. You have to clearly examine the patient. The posterior triangle of the neck should be very clearly examined and check which type, which area of the lymph is enlarged or which group of lymph is enlarged, and then give remedy according to that. And here I would tell you a very important remedy which has helped a lot in cervical lymphadenopathy is nothing but our tuberculinum. If the constitution is also tuberculinum, and if the child is having constant recurrent respiratory tract infection, tuberculinum has helped a lot, because it has saved, I'm telling this because it has saved so many children in long suffering. That is a wonder in homeopathy, long suffering. They have been giving this medicine, allopathic medicine, for more than 5 to 6 years, and finally fed up with allopathic medicine, they are coming to our hospital or for pediatric treatment. And we identify, and cervical lymphadenopathy is not at all tuberculinum case, because in majority of cases we have given tuberculum, that's all. Don't think the cervical lymphadenopathy come directly we give tuberculum, never think like that. Majority of cases where cervical lymphadenopathy has been given, automatically tuberculum has given a very good result. Renal calculi, of course, as all of you know that renal calculi is a very good condition which can be treated with homeopathy. Constitutional medicine is usually given, but beriberi and hydrangea help a lot. Don't think that we prescribe only high potencies over here. In renal calculi, we give diuretics. Diuretics are very important to make the child's urine to be created more, and forced diuresis is always important in renal calculi unless the calculus is blocked somewhere. If the calculus is blocked somewhere, it is going to be very dangerous. It may result in hydronephrosis or hydroureter, such conditions. We have to be very careful, always keep in touch with the ultrasonologist for such conditions. And renal calculi, lycopodium has been given a very good result, and beriberi also has given very good. Beriberi vulgaris has given very good result. Nocturnal neurosis, a very difficult problem to be treated, but this condition, except a very few remedies, once we have to be very careful about the infection, urinary tract infection, such conditions, and you have to identify whether the child is having psychological issues connected with the family, and such things have to be psychologically counseled properly. And in nocturnal neurosis, in majority of the cases which I have found is, if the first child is presenting with nocturnal neurosis, there will be in 60% of cases second child has been born. Second child has been born, and the mother is showing more affection to the younger child. That usually happens, and we have to just give a small counseling to the mother. Please take care of your first child also properly, and then automatically that part is also cleared, and our constitutional medicine should be given, and that will clear. In so many cases it has been cleared. In some cases still we have some problems also. And in nocturnal neurosis, majority of the cases are calcarea carp cases are always there. And at the same time, nocturnal neurosis cases, calcarea carp, typical calcarea carp has not at all given any improvement also. I still remember a remedy that is starting with E. If anybody remembers, you can just tell me. A very important remedy which does not have any connection with any other issues, but I forgot the name of the remedy, nocturnal neurosis, which has helped a lot. Hypopigmentation of the skin. In this, let me tell you a remedy which all of you can kindly do, because it is done in so many other OPDs also. Basilinum and sulfur. Basilinum 200 and sulfur Sirova 3 has helped a lot in improving hypopigmentation, which always have been given vitamin tablets by pediatricians. So this hypopigmentation that you see, usually first they go to allopathic doctor, they will give so many vitamin tablets and they will say this is only a vitamin deficiency. But this child will come back to our clinic by saying that so many vitamin tablets have been given in different varieties, but there is no change. Just a few doses of basilinum, not daily dose. Basilinum and all we give only in the beginning as 200, and then we'll go to 1 later on only. Provided if hypopigmentation is not at all cleared by basilinum 200, that's the first trial. You just go for that. In some cases, the child does not look basilinum. I always compare basilinum and tuberculum in such a manner. Tuberculum are emaciated, and basilinum are what you call fatty children. And in those children, if I find, I used to go for basilinum, and rest of the some other people we used to go for sulfur. Sulfur is given in serobar potency, very dangerous remedy in going in higher potency. So in all skin conditions, I used to prescribe sulfur, and all my interns and PGs and those who pass out from here used to say that I am a sulfur prescriber in my clinic. Because sulfur is prescribed because it is an antisoric remedy which helps a lot once the patient is coming from allopathic treatment or from a lot of treatment. So an antisoric remedy is to be started. And what we feel is later on, after giving an antisoric remedy like the king sulfur, we are planning to go to another remedy later on by taking the case in detail and giving a remedy. But usually what happens is the sulfur itself will give lot of change in the child. Okay, so as far as the skin complaints are concerned, not for all the conditions, skin complaints are concerned. Especially there will be a lot of suppression where we give sulfur. And here lot of conditions are there which we always treat with allopathic. Those are coming from after allopathic medication. There is nothing can be done by them. Behavioral disorders, scholastic backwardness. Scholastic backwardness, I think yesterday Dr. Siju might have given a lot of information about learning disability. So in scholastic backwardness, we give only constitutional remedy. We do not give any, because we have failed a lot in giving the rubrics that are available in Kent's repertory and Synthesis repertory. We have failed in all the rubric selections, and only thing that has been successful is the finding out the right constitutional remedy. It will change a lot. 80% of change is there in learning disability in OPDs. We have a learning disability OPD separately, and in my OPD also I'm telling you, we have started the learning disability in private schools over there, and the report is very, very promising. So there, I cannot specify any drug like that, but still we have to go for a constitutional remedy. Yes, Manoj, doctor? Shall I? Manoj, doctor, there is a... Dr. Manoj? Hello? Am I audible?
Okay,
You are audible. It is only an appreciation for you, doctor.
Oh, I thought Dr. Manoj wanted to tell something. Dr. Manoj,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
You just clapped.
Okay, thank you. That is, scholastic backwardness is something that we do constantly in our colleges, and the entire Kanyakumari district we are taking care with the learning disability, different varieties. Our PG students are doing work on different categories like reading problem, writing problem, then mathematics problem. You can see in our repertory mathematics problems, syphilinum and all, but that is not at all helping us. Only the constitutional remedy has helped a lot, and that we have studied a lot by giving so many shortcuts, but none of the shortcuts is going to help in especially the behavioral disorders and scholastic backwardness and condition like ADHD and autism spectrum disorders. In ADHD, autism spectrum disorders and childhood seizures and all, and even behavioral disorders and scholastic backwardness, more than constitutional remedy, I would like to tell you something about the importance of the history that we have to take during the pregnancy of the mother. What has happened, especially in the first trimester? What has happened? in so many cases, we have seen that there are a lot of problems in the mother's life during the pregnancy. And I could say that more than 60 to 70% of cases of behavioral disorders, scholastic problems, ADHD, autism spectrum disorders are all having some history in their mother, which we call as epigenetic issues, which we can treat. And no other, I don't think any genetic treatment will be coming tomorrow. Our medicine will help a lot. And our students are already started their work on these studies, and they will be successful in treating. As all of you know that if you get the mother at the right time, we would have given them an antisoric remedy at the right time. But unfortunately, we get the child and then we go to the back history, and we've identified that there is a very tough perinatal history in their during their life. That is creating a lot of problems in the child's life. And one point which I would emphasize on scholastic backwardness, which we have done in private schools over here, is that one doctor has studied and given in more than 30 cases, 30 plus cases, and she has done on 50 plus cases on learning disability. 80% improvement was there in with constitutional medicine. What happened? Then we went to study what is happening 20% of it. What is the problem in 20%? Why they are not improving? We studied those 20% cases. I really appreciate that doctor who has done the study, which I have told her to do that. What was really happening was that 20% of cases which are not improving, there was a continuous problem in the family. Either there was a fight between the father and mother in the family, or there was a alcoholic father, and always problem. See, these problems are always remaining, which is very difficult for us to treat. There we have to again bring, it's very difficult for us to go to the school and tell the father to come or tell the mother to come and treat, because that all create a lot of issues in the school also. We are very carefully handling learning disability cases in private schools, because we will get a lot of bad impressions, because we should never go to the school and tell that 10% or 20% school your children to the principal that are having learning disability or slow learners. They will not accept our problem, because since first year to 9th to 10th standard all the children have passed. In spite of that, when we go to 8th and 9th standard, we know that these children are not at all knowing anything at all, so they will not accept us. So we have to very tactfully dealing all the learning disability disorders, especially in private schools, because all these schools we will find that they do not even know to write properly, and they have reached 9th and 10th standard. In spite of that, they are studying over there, and the management will never accept us thereafter. So we very carefully handle them in that manner. Okay. So ADHD also is having an epigenetic issue. Autism spectrum disorder is also having an epigenetic issue. And if we are getting the issue of the mother properly, we can handle the case accordingly. Okay, doctor. Already 9:30. If I go again, I have to go to another case. If time permits, only I'll go. Because as far as I have understood, on teaching our students, if you continue for more than 30 or 40 minutes, no one will concentrate.
Yes, of
Maybe we
course.
can close and we can take another day to continue your session, doctor.
Yes, yes, there are so many slides are left out, and
We will
I think,
give another day for you again.
Okay, thank you, doctor. It's not at all
We'll
issue at
invite
all.
it another day
Because
for you.
whatever I want is whatever I have
Yeah.
told, that should be taken to their mind, and they put it into their practice and give me a feedback, so that homeopathy will develop. That's my aim. That's the aim in this particular message I want to tell you. Thank you very much, Dr. Shaji. Please.
Thank you, Dr.
Anybody else?
Shishir. Thank you, Dr. Shishir. I still remember you having our house urgency in our college in Trivandrum.
Yes, sure. And after
Thank
that,
you.
also you have met in so many other areas
Yes,
for
yes,
your
yes.
classes also in Bangalore and
Yes.
other areas. They have come to
Yes.
your home also.
Yes.